Back in 2018, when Disney announced they were creating a Star Wars show exploring what Cassian Andor had been up to before he died on Scarif in Rogue One, I couldn't have been more apathetic. Now, don't get me wrong, I liked Rogue One, especially the space battle at the end. It remains one of my favorite Star Wars movies even today, but the characters were fine. Cassian himself, even as the star of the show, I guess maybe Jyn Erso was the star, but Cassian never really grabbed me. Plus, who cares what a character was up to before he died on some battle in Star Wars? Though to be fair, Star Wars did the exact same thing by exploring Obi-Wan Kenobi in expansive depth after introducing and killing him in the same film in 1977. How many TV shows and movies since then have featured Obi-Wan? 10? 15? It's a lot, so maybe this will work with Cassian. When the show finally rolled out, 4 years after it had been announced, I still had no plans to watch it. Nothing I had seen indicated it would be worth my time, and these days, with the sheer amount of TV shows, movies, and video games available out there, I try to only sample stuff that has a good chance of being excellent. Not just good, not very good, but excellent, life-changing stuff. Not to mention, I was still very upset about The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker being hot garbage. And the marketing for Andor was lackluster, and I can't really remember seeing many TV commercials or billboards touting its release before it came out. Now, maybe that should have been a point in its favor, because I'm sure the advertising budget and the marketing campaign for Rise of Skywalker was $800 million. So the fact that they threw $5 at Andor and said, figure it out, maybe should have been a point in its favor, because Disney clearly doesn't know what it's doing these days. However, after 3 or 4 friends and Discord members started raving about Andor, I took notice. Hardly any media has the honor of being a Falcon must watch this thing the day it releases kind of a thing. But if enough people I respect start heaping praises on a thing, I'll usually end up giving it a shot a week or two after it arrives. I have to admit, I wasn't immediately instantly hooked, but when Cassian gets accosted by the space cops in an encounter that turns deadly, that made me sit up and take notice. Not just because of the deaths here, but because these were normal folks. Not a lightsaber or force power among them, scrapping for their lives on the rain-soaked pavement of a random street in an unimportant city on an unimportant planet. This was wildly different than what Star Wars usually is, which is story on a grand scale involving important Jedi or Sith, and the fate of the entire galaxy is at stake. We know how this works. But Andor's not a hero in that sense. He's just trying to find his lost sister and gets tangled up with 2 idiots who had more ego than sense. He's far more on the level of Han Solo in A New Hope than anything else. He's got multiple motivations and weaknesses. He's written to be human. From there, Cassian attracts the attention of a very enthusiastic member of the local security team. We're introduced to another low-level, non-force-using guy in Cyril Karn. He's fastidious about his uniform and absolutely dogmatic in his pursuit of what he considers justice, and he's got an overbearing mom who is consistently negging him. Okay, I thought, so this looks like it might be a show about the average folk in the Star Wars galaxy. Those people on the edges of the big story of Jedi and the Death Star and everything else, but they're no less human and interesting. And that's exactly what the show delivered on. Andor gave me something I didn't even really know I wanted. Star Wars for adults. And I don't mean that with adult content, like rated R stuff. I just mean it's a show that expects its audience to keep up and figure out what's going on, even without a character on screen spelling it out for you. And to be fair, this is never what Star Wars was. A New Hope is a movie for kids. Obviously, it's highly appealing to adults too, but there's nothing too complicated going on here, right? And that's the template future movies and TV shows took on. There have been other examples of complicated ideas and writing in Star Wars over the years. For example, Baylan Skoll's musings and Ahsoka come to mind, but these are few and far between. There's a concept in writing called show, don't tell. Simply put, it's the difference between a character arriving in a scene and taking down 8 enemies in hand-to-hand combat versus the same character walking into the scene and saying, "I'm a good fighter." One lets us figure out what's going on and come to our own conclusions, while the other spoon feeds us what we're supposed to know. I'll let you decide what I think is the superior option here, and which one's more fun to boot. Andor is excellent at showing and not telling. No one tells us Cassian is a scoundrel who cares about his family and doesn't want to get involved in the rise of the Empire in his world, but countless scenes show us these things. Cassian immediately comes up with an alibi to cover himself for the incident with the men he killed the previous night. His friend, Brasso, easily and quickly picks up on what Andor's putting down and shows no resistance and has no questions. Bix is again trying to convince Cassian to meet with someone he doesn't want to see. All of this is expertly woven together in an amazing real-world set constructed for the show. And these scenes aren't shot in the volume, folks. They actually built the town on Ferrix in the real world. These are real buildings the scenes were shot in. It was deconstructed shortly after filming, but it was real. Anyway, those first couple episodes got me excited, and I was on board from that point on. From the highs of the Aldani heist to the immediate lows of Nemik's death. From I can't swim to Marvel's passionate posthumous speech about rebellion and fighting the Empire. There are twice as many memorable scenes in Season 1 of Andor for me than in the entire sequel trilogy. And the exploration of political theory. Star Wars has never been interested in politics at this granular level. Now, this is in Nemik's manifest, if you remember it. The imperial need for control is so desperate because it is so unnatural. Tyranny requires constant effort. It breaks, it leaks, authority is brittle, oppression is the mask of fear. The guards in Arcana 5 killed hundreds of prisoners because they feared their plans would be revealed. Authoritarian power fears the rise of the average people more than anything, and their attempt to tighten their grip to prevent this results in the thing they are terrified of most. The Emperor declaring supreme power and Natalie Portman saying, "This is how democracy dies," to thunderous applause, is good, but it's not anywhere near the level that Andor reaches. The casting is also extraordinary. There are no weak links here, and I struggle to decide which character is my favorite. Mon Mothma is infinitely more interesting than she ever was in the OG trilogy. Stellan Skarsgård is putting on an Emmy-worthy performance, as always, portraying Luthen. Even smaller parts, like Clea's, are expertly written and performed. I was pretty uninterested in Perrin, Mon's husband, for Season 1, but in Season 2 it seems there's more to him than we expected. I read a theory online that argues he subtly directs Mon to problems that arise so she can take care of them, even if he doesn't act like he knows what she's up to with the rebellion. Subtlety! So when Season 2 arrived this year, I had my Andor shirt on and was ready to rock. Thankfully, we got more of the same. Did the show immediately tell us what Cyril is up to on Gorman? Of course not. We had to piece it together by watching his actions and listening to conversations he had with his mother, Dedra, and spider sellers on the plaza. It's impressive how the writers for Andor portray the Empire as evil, but not cartoonishly so. Are they going to destroy the entire planet of Gorman? Yes, but it's not for fun. It's because they need a rare mineral found only there. It's so deep under the surface that mining it will result in the destruction of the planet. They try to find suitable replacements, whether natural or synthetic, but fail to do so. Now, because they are evil, they continue forward with the plans anyway. A good government wouldn't do that. But that's the difference between cartoonish villainy and the type found in the real world. To go back even further in the decision-making here, a good government also probably wouldn't build a Death Star in the first place. I also really enjoyed the Krennic cameo in Season 2. He's evil, and obviously a really bad person, but he's framing his arguments in a way that a real person would. His dismissive, "my rebels, your terrorists," something like that, while staring into Mon's soul was perfect. Mon and Krennic verbally sparring in this scene is a blink or you miss it kind of thing. The show doesn't belabor the point, and isn't interested in anyone winning the argument, just like in real life. When is the last time you convinced someone the political opinions they hold are wrong? The second 3-episode arc of Season 2 was overall fantastic. I absolutely loved the conflict between the Gorman rebels about what they should do. One side wants to act and fight back against the clearly escalating oppression from the Empire, while the other thinks that's just giving the Empire exactly what they want. Both sides have valid points, but the true tragedy here is that it doesn't matter what they believe. Gorman is going to be destroyed regardless of the actions they take or do not take. I firmly believe that even if the Gormans hadn't protested in the square that day, the Empire would have found a way to create an incident they could spin in the public eye anyway. And as an aside, it's refreshing to see an Empire so concerned about public opinion. In just one short year from now, they destroy Alderaan with the Death Star simply as a test. with no concern what anyone thinks, which is honestly far less compelling, but that's the difference between OG Star Wars and Andor. In short, I can't wait for what the final arc brings next week. I'll be here to recap those 3 episodes and discuss what the future of Star Wars is. Will we get more shows and movies like Andor? We can only hope. Anyway, this is the start of a new thing for me. Let me know if you enjoyed it and comment any other TV shows or movies you'd like me to cover. I'm thinking about a review of The Accountant 2 or Black Bag next. Both films from earlier this year that didn't get much attention. So again, tap that like button if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're liking this too, and we will catch you next time.